Alright, what's up, y'all? This is like my fifth time trying to film this, so just bear with me. This is new to me. So for mixing on Ableton, there are 4 things that I take into consideration. Number 1 being compression. Number 2 being using equalizers. Number 3, utilizing a stereo like feel for the different sounds. And number 4 is, let me check my notes. Leveling, which is really important. So let's get into it. So for this beat I got here, I've got I utilized mainly compression, leveling, and that's pretty much it. I didn't really use equalizers as much or give it a lot of stereo feel because I didn't really care about it for this beat because of the way I wanted it. I didn't really care because of the way I wanted it to sound. So here I'll let you see how it sounds. Hey yo. Hey, yo. Hey, yo. Alright, that's enough. So, hold on, let me stop this. So for compression, on here, I'll show you what I compressed. So usually I add a compressor to the master channel. And right here, as you can see, I took the threshold down a little bit and played with the ratio just a little bit, and I took away a lot of the knee, so I kind of made it like a kneeless compressor. Not that much because it still has 0.6 decibels. So let me stop talking and let me just show you how it sounds. So this is how it sounds with the compressor. Green Llama strike. So as you can tell, when the compressor is on, it kind of like boosts certain sounds that you can't really hear that much. And if you use the compressor correctly, then it'll sound good. If you kind of abuse it and add too much compression, then it can sound like dog doo-doo. With too much compression, it takes away the bass and the quality, but sometimes people want that. So it all just depends on the beat. So don't overthink it, because that's when it all fails. I also put a compressor. I put a lot of compressors actually. The compressor is like my favorite effect to use, audio effect. So right here you can see that I have 3 glue compressors, and all of them are slide chain. So what that means is this one, for example, this one is slide chain to the kick drum. So every time the kick drum hits, it side chains the sample, which makes it kind of like dip down and gives it like a bouncy feel. So here, I'll show you what that sounds like. You can hear, like, once you turn the compressor off, it's not getting side chain, and it sounds like the sample is just overpowering the kick. So you always want to I always use, I always side chain the kick and the sample together, because it kind of like makes the kick overpower the sample in a sense, because you want the kick drum to kind of like be the backbone of the beat. because you know it just sounds good. So yeah, I don't overthink it. So I also have these other two compressors, side chaining from the bass line, which is the operator, and my hi-hats just a little bit because I like the way it sounds. So yeah. Then I also have this side chain. I also have this compressor to make it louder, basically, as you can tell from the name. So this is what it sounds like when it's off. Turn it on. So right there, well, I didn't really do nothing. I got this. I just don't feel the need to, because once I add the compressor to the master channel, wow. All right, so for my drums, I usually don't add a compressor. So for my drums, usually what I do is I don't add a compressor, but for this case, I wanted to make this this rim hit sound like snappy. So that's why I added a compressor. So we covered the drums, the sample, and yeah, that's pretty much it. Also I added compressors. So I sidechained the tape hiss to the drums and bass line so that the tape hiss doesn't be so overpowering. And if you guys want a video on how I make this tape hiss sound right here, I'll show you. Just tell me. So yeah, that covers compression. I don't have too many equalizers in here, so I can't cover that. So I'll have to go to another beat. But I can cover leveling. So usually when I level a beat, I go to all the channels, I lower them all, just like that. And then I listen. I raise each channel and listen to it with all the other channels muted, and I decide like, all right, this is where I want it to be at. So for example, I'll play it, you won't hear nothing though, obviously. So this is what I'll do. So this is the sample channel, and I'll usually start with the sample first, and I'll raise it to the appropriate level, I guess you could say. And say I want it there, so I'll just leave it there. Then I'll go to the drums. That sounds good, so I'm gonna leave it there. Then the bass, and so on and so forth. Just, you know, that's really good because you don't want everything in your beat to be equally loud or one thing louder than the other, because then it's just gonna sound like a cluster. So I'm gonna go to another beat to show you guys like a good example of me using stereo and mono, and me using equalizers. And if you're wondering what I'm looking at, I got a notebook here so I can know what I'm talking about. So let me go to that beat. Alright, so in this beat, yeah, let me make these smaller. They're irrelevant. Alright, in this beat, so for equalizers, let me see. As you can see, I got the compressors. The only type of equalizer I use is a plugin that comes with all Apple computers, I believe. So a plugin that comes with all Apple computers, I think. So I go to plugins, audio units, Apple, and this is the graphic EQ. I use this all the time whenever I need to use the EQ, and I just feel like it's a lot better than the audio, the one that Ableton gives you right here, the EQ8, because I just feel like I have more control. Even though it looks pretty simple and plain, I feel like I can just hear a lot more. Not hear a lot more. I can control the frequencies a lot more. So yeah, let me show you what I did. So I didn't really change much with this one, but here you can kind of hear a difference. So that's how it sounds with it on. Now let me turn it off. You probably can't tell like much of a difference, but you don't want it to be too dramatic, because then it's like the sound is just going to lose its integrity, unless that's what you're looking for. So that's where I use the equalizer. So what I did is I raised this frequency, which is the highest frequency, and the reason why I did that is because it'll make it sound like a lot cleaner. And I mostly raised the higher frequencies because I wanted it to sound crispy clean, and I didn't really want to raise the low end too much because I didn't want it to fight with the bass and the kick drum. So let me show you how it sounds all together. So yeah, that's what I did there. I thought I used stereo on here, but I guess I didn't. So I'm gonna have to go to another beat to show you stereo, using stereo. But before I do that, let me finish with the equalizers. So I also use equalizers to add bass to certain things. And so here, for example, this bass line, it didn't have enough kick to it, and it wasn't punchy enough. So what I did was I added these two frequencies right here just to give it like a little bit more like so yeah, this is how it sounds with it off. On. Not that much of a difference, but it's still, you can still tell the difference. So let me find another beat that I could use for an example. Right here. So, yes, I did use stereo, a lot of it. So in this beat, let me show you how it sounds. So, for this beat, I use stereo, and I use, whenever I want to add depth to a sound and make it sound like it's surrounding me, I use stereo. And to give a sound a stereo feel, I use a simple delay preset that I've created, which is really simple, which I'll show you how to do right now. So you have a simple delay. When you drop it in, it says simple delay is most likely going to be like this preset. And what I do is I turn off sync and turn it to time, go down to 1 millisecond, and put this one down to 10 milliseconds. So that way it's a short delay on one side. So the sound will play first on this side, and then 10 milliseconds later it'll play on this side, which will kind of create a spacious and surrounding sound. So, and also, so when you want to, if you put the dry wet to 0, you're not going to get that effect at all. At 100, you're going to get the full surrounding feel, and in between, you know, pretty self-explanatory. So let me show you how it sounds. Or actually, let me do one on the group. So this is how it sounds. You can hear it. So Yeah, usually what I do with stereo is I do not make the bass stereo. You do not want it to be stereo. I learned that from a good friend of mine, Stolen Drums, that I met a few months ago, I think, like a month or two. So yeah, you don't want to have your bass lines or your kick drums stereo, because you want to think of your beat as a sound box, and in that box you don't want your bass to be right here, your samples to be right here, and your kicks and your snares and hi-hats and stuff to be right here. You want it to be equally like distributed. So you have your kicks and your bass drums in the middle, you know, just punch it through the middle. Then you want your like snares to kind of like expand a little bit out, to kind of surround it a little bit. Then you want things that are like really high pitched, like hi-hats or like the high end of a sample, to feel like it's surrounding you. So here, I'll give you an example of that. So this is the bass. That's how it sounds with the mono. This is how it sounds without.
Your tooth loose? What the heck? That's good. Alright, let's take the video. Close my door. Close my door, Daddy. Daddy. Close my door. Thank you.
Alright, back to what I was saying. So this is how it sounds without mono. You'll hear kind of like it surrounds you, and I kind of don't really want that. So, and then once I turn mono on, it doesn't give you that surrounding feel. But if you really want to take that out, you can go with and just turn it down. But I don't want it to be that narrow, so yeah, that's pretty good for me. Highs, this is not really just highs, it's highs and mids, but I just thought of the highs. So for the highs, I added 40% dry wet, which will kind of like, you can kind of hear the difference. So this is how it sounds. So yeah, that's pretty much it. That's what I do to mix on Ableton. Also, I added stereo to this little vocal chop I had. Just people like murmuring in the background. I wanted it to feel like you're surrounded by people and they're just talking to you. Like, just a bunch of random stuff. So, and then they turned out getting this beat. So yeah, that'll be the end of the video. Any beats that you heard on here that aren't on SoundCloud or Spotify will be in the exclusive batch for March. So just check that. Only if they're not already on Spotify or SoundCloud. And yeah, that's the end of the video. Thank you for sticking around. Thank you for supporting me. It really means a lot. I'm really trying to make this, this music thing work. And yeah, stick around for the next video in April. Peace.